It's a good thing that storage, as time goes on, gets less and less expensive because we continue to use more and more of it. In our previous nugget, we used an iSCSI target and the LUNs there to create a 60 gig data store using VMFS 6. And because each of the ESXi hosts has a host bus adapter and has connectivity to it, they can all use and share that network-based storage. However, if we created this 60 gigabyte data store using most of LUN 0 on this iSCSI target, what if we need to grow that data store and make it bigger? Is it possible? And the answer is absolutely yes. We can expand the data store. For example, we could take this 60 gig data store and we could expand it to use all the rest of that space. So that would change this from about a 60 gig data store to an 80 gig data store. And if that's not big enough, we could also go ahead and we could extend the data store as well across another LUN. So if we wanted to, we could go ahead and say, you know what, we want to increase the size of the data store, and we want to go ahead and start using LUN 1, either a portion of it or all of it, to continue to grow the data store. So I'd like to walk you through the process of exactly how to expand and extend the data store. And as a heads up, if you intend on doing the lab soon, meaning right after this nugget is over, I would encourage you to start the lab now in the hands-on lab environment. Because the iSCSI target and the vCenter server and the other components may take 4 to 5 minutes to fully initialize once you start the lab. So if you start the lab now and then watch the video and then do the lab, it'll be ready and waiting for you to do the hands-on practice. So here on DCNUG, let's go ahead and launch the vSphere web client using the shortcut here on the desktop. We'll log on as administrator at vsphere.local, and we'll supply our lab password and click Login. So here in vCenter, let's go ahead and click on the icon for storage right here. And then we'll click on our iSCSI data store that we created in our previous nugget. And the first thing I'd like to walk you through is the expansion of that data store. So there's several ways of doing it. We could right click on the data store, and then from the menu select increase data store capacity. That would do it. And that icon is also right here. So with the iSCSI data store selected, we can click here on the increase data store capacity. Another option for increasing it would be to select the data store, click on configure, the configure tab, and then with the general selected right here, over on the right, we can click on increase. Any one of those will allow us to increase the data store capacity, or at least start the wizard for that process. So we'll click on increase. And currently, we've got 60 gigs, approximately 60 gigs on LUN 0. So let's go ahead and click back on LUN 0, click on next. And what we can do is go ahead and use some more of that space. So from the partition configuration drop-down, we'll simply select use free space. And then we don't have to use all of it. So for example, if we wanted to grow it by just 10 gigabytes, we'd put a 10 there, press enter, or you could use the slider bar, and then it would grow it by that much. So in this example, let's go ahead and let's grow it by the entire amount, which is 19 gigs of free space, and we'll click on next. There's a summary of what's about to happen. It's about to grow it by 19 gigs, and when it's done, it'll be close to 79 gigs. So we'll go ahead and click on finish. And here it shows the capacity of very close to 79 gigs total. Now, if we wanted to grow it even further, and we had additional LUNs and additional space over on the iSCSI target, we could extend that data store across multiple LUNs. Check this out. So we'll go ahead and click on the increase button here, or the increase icon up here. Either way will do it. And now it's showing us LUN 1 is available, and we have almost 80 gigs there. So if we select that, and then click on next, it then gives us a similar menu here. From the drop down here, we'll select use all available partitions. And then it's asking us how much we want to use. So if you want to use less than the full amount, you can use a slider, or you can type in a number and press enter. Let's go ahead and use the full amount and click on next. It's showing us that after it's done, it'll be close to 158 gigabytes. We're increasing it by 79 gigabytes. So we'll go ahead and click on finish. And if we click on the recent tasks, it's showing us that it's extending the data store across that second LUN. When it's complete, which it is now. So we'll go ahead and minimize the recent tasks. So now our data store is approximately 157-ish gigabytes. And if we ever want to look and see, okay, what is behind that? What are the LUNs supporting that? We can click on the device backing right here. And here it's showing us the two components that are being used. And if we looked at the IDs for each of those would correspond to LUN 0 and LUN 1 on our iSCSI target. And if we click on connectivity and multipathing, from a connectivity perspective, we can see the ESXi hosts that have been properly configured who have access to that data store. Which again means that any of these ESXi hosts, if they're supporting a VM, could use that shared iSCSI data store for the configuration and hard disk and other supporting files that make up a VM. So have some fun in the lab, expanding and extending data stores on an iSCSI target, and I'll see you in the next video. Meanwhile, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.